Hello and welcome to the Collaborative for the Common Good here at Wingate University. I'm Hannah Fraser and I'm the NC Campus Compact HungerCorps Vista. So my job primarily consists of working to alleviate poverty and food insecurity in Eastern Union County. And I'm joined here by our Agriculture and Sustainability Coordinator, Dr. Erika Niland.
Hello.
And we're going to be showing you how to pickle carrots.
Thanks, Hannah.
Yeah.
So we've grown some vegetables in our community garden. As you can see up here, we have some beets, there's carrots, here's the tops of the carrots. And so what we want to show is a very simple preservation method. Typically with pickling, you'll use vinegar. We have 3 different kinds of vinegar here. There's red wine, we went a little bit bougie with Pinot Grigio vinegar, and then apple cider vinegar. You can use just regular white vinegar, but at least my taste buds, I prefer the apple cider, so that's what we're going to use today. Now, depending upon your taste, you can either use more vinegar and less water to make this combination, or you can use a little bit more water and a little bit less vinegar. There's various recipes that you can figure out your ratio. So aside from vinegar and water, we have some water here in our tea kettle that's warming up. You can also, we also want to add, we have here in a plastic baggie some sugar and some salt. So those are really the ingredients that you need to pickle. If you would like to experiment a little bit, you can add some more herbs or spices to give it a distinct flavor. So we have some black peppercorns that we're going to add. And if you want to, you can also add, say, maybe some garlic, depending upon your flavors. But it's very simple, very easy. So for us today, you'll notice that we don't have a pressure cooker. All we're gonna do is make something called refrigerator pickles. And I'm using pickles as a pretty general term. So we're not necessarily pickling cucumbers that are traditional. We're actually gonna pickle carrots. And so this might seem a little weird, but in a lot of different cuisines around the world, a lot of these vegetables are pickled, again, for preservation. So you can go to the grocery store and buy something like this root vegetable, like carrots and cauliflower. You'll find many things that can be pickled, so it's really up to you. So we have here a mason jar, but you can use any type of jar if you're just gonna make refrigerator pickles. It's important to know that refrigerator pickles do not last as long as the pickles that you get from the shelf, since we're not sealing it properly. These will typically last between 2 weeks and a month, depending upon how well you have your pickling preservation method down. So we'll need our jar, which we've already cut up some of our carrots in here. And I've left them, our carrots that we had in our garden, these are our smaller carrots that we decided to pickle. So they're not very big, so I kind of left them whole. You can most certainly cut them, slice them, however you prefer to eat them. We also have a bowl that we're gonna mix some of these components in. And then we have a couple carrots just to kind of show you what you need to do in order to place them into the jar. So I'm gonna hand Hannah our bowl right now, and we can go over our carrots, or how do you prep them. So being that we picked these out of the garden, they came pretty natural.
Yeah.
We had to wash them really well, and so that's what Hannah did. It's really important that if you have a sponge, a scrub brush, that you use just for your vegetables to clean them up really well. And that makes sure that we remove all of the soil and any of the organisms associated with the soil so that we don't get sick. And so you'll see that we have these small little carrots here, and then we have the carrot tops. We'll have another video on making a pesto from these carrot tops so that we don't waste anything. But what we want to do is we want to cut the tops off and parts of the bottom so that we really just have like the chunky meat there. And so that's what I'm going to do here. And notice that in this case, because they're really small, we have really tiny little pieces of carrots, and so I'm just going to add them to my jar. So I'm going to place these tops over here that we can use later, and I'm going to discard the bottoms. If you're really into no waste, you could just pop these on your salad. So I'm going to give those to Hannah to eat on her salad. All right, now that we have all of our carrots in our container, we're going to go ahead and mix up the actual solution, or the pickling solution. So I'm going to move these two over here, unless you really want to use one of these, Hannah.
I think we'll be good with apple cider vinegar today.
Now I like apple cider vinegar because it's sweeter, a little bit sweeter than just regular white vinegar. But if you like that, that's cool too.
Cool. And we're using a cup?
We'll use a cup of vinegar and a cup of water.
Cool.
So while you're doing that, I will say that the water we already boiled. We weren't boiling it while we were talking just so that you could hear us. So this is really, really hot water that we also want to add. And so we're going to do a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 cup vinegar versus 1 cup water. You can also get a little bit of a facial spa day with the steam.
Steam facial. Great.
All right, now we're going to add our salt and our sugar here.
So how much of that do we need?
So we're going to need a tablespoon of sugar.
Great.
And again, you can change this. So if you like what's called bread and butter pickles, it's more so of a sweeter pickle. You can add more sugar.
I like kosher dill. That's my
Perfect.
jam.
And I didn't bring any dill. I should have, but I didn't. I forgot the dill. It's also in our garden.
Great. And
All right.
some salt. Another tablespoon.
So you might want to go, it depends on how much salt you want. So if you're watching your salt intake, you'll maybe want to just use a teaspoon for this recipe, a 1-to-1. But if you're okay, maybe this summertime you want something, a quick snack that can provide a little bit more salt, and that's not a big deal, you can go with maybe two teaspoons.
Okay. Let's do 1.
Now we want to use, salt does matter, so in this case we want to use kosher salt. There's all kinds of different salts, sea salt, things like that. We want to avoid using those and use this. There's also something called pickling salt that you're more than welcome to use. Again, if you're going to look for a long preservation period and not just a couple weeks in the refrigerator, you could use that instead of what we're doing.
Cool. I'm going to go ahead and mix it up. Kind of dissolve the sugar and the salt. Smells vinegary. Great. What's next?
So if we want, we can add garlic and peppercorns. Do you want to do that, or do you want this to be pretty natural?
I think we should add some flavor.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to take my garlic clove, and I like garlic. So
Yeah, I like garlic too.
Okay, so we're going to go with a big clove. And this big clove, all I'm going to do is peel it. Notice that I hammered down on it just to break up the outside. Now the garlic itself, you can wash it because again, it's pulled from a garden, but I got this from the store, not our garden. So I'm just going to take the outside casing off, maybe, I don't know. I'm going to cut the ends off of it, just like I did with the carrots. And I'm going to inspect it for anything that I might see that isn't kind of right. I have a little kind of bruise here, so I'm going to cut that off. And I'm just going to pop that garlic into my jar. I have my peppercorns. How peppery do you want it, Hannah?
Maybe like medium peppery.
Medium. Okay, we'll go with a teaspoon then. My husband likes a lot, so I put a lot of peppercorns in for him. I'm gonna put those in, and now we're at the point where we can add our pickling solution.
Should I just fill it all the way up?
Yeah, we want to fill it, that's a good point, thanks. We want to fill it well above our veggies, and you might notice they might start to rise.
That good?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. So you can see we filled it just all the way up.
And you'll also notice with our pickling liquid, it's a little cloudy, and that's because we have the sugar and the salt in there to help with preservation. But we also have apple cider vinegar, which on its own is pretty cloudy itself. So the combination of vinegar, sugar, and salt is really what's going to allow this food to not spoil by the time it's in the refrigerator, and that we can keep going back and eating it. I will say that if you don't like your carrots super crunchy, you can cook them a little bit and then pickle them, but it's completely up to you and your taste.
Nice. Well, we shall enjoy those pretty soon here. How long should we leave them in there for?
I usually leave them in there until it starts to cool down, and then I throw them in the refrigerator. But you can
cool.
throw them in there whenever you want.
Awesome. Yeah, so that will be delicious. We hope you enjoyed that. And we will make another video on how to use the carrot tops in order to make a delicious pesto. So thank you again, Dr. Niland, for showing us how to pickle these delicious carrots from our garden. And tune in for more delicious recipes. Thank you.